With our weekly News to You segment, remembering when text messaging was a new thing and when lighting up in public buildings was commonplace. Dave Mckinley looks back to when those stories and more were all news to you.
10 years ago this week, when Texas Senator Ted Cruz looked like this and not like this, the former Millard Fillmore Hospital still towered over Gates Circle, and after 19 seasons, Mariano Rivera retired as Major League Baseball's all-time career leader in saves, a record that still stands today. G.I. Joe would never look the same after the Army announced it would ban soldiers from having visible tattoos, and back in Buffalo, a Canadian company called Gracious Living said it would buy Terminal A on the waterfront, create a furniture factory, and hire 250 workers.
And here's another example of Erie County hitching its wagon, 250 good-paying jobs.
Except the wheels fell off of that wagon, and it proved to be yet another example of a broken promise of jobs. And today that building remains as empty as it was this week in 2013. 20 years ago this week.
Teens will tell you text messaging from cell phones is all the rage.
It's a new thing. Everybody's text messaging everybody nowadays, in the 2003, yeah.
Text messages are written messages passed via cell phone.
Write whatever you want, like hello.
The thing is, many of these teens back then may be parents now, and maybe just about now are having to explain to their children two things. One, how in God's name you went out in public dressed like that, and two, just how cumbersome the process of texting was for them using things like these. Remember?
I go to menu, messages, write message, press it until you get to that letter. Get H, you do it twice, and then you just hit compose, and then I scroll down.
There was growing concern over children and chat rooms, and perhaps as well the beginning of a new era of butchering the English language. And we saw the beginning of a disturbing trend in stores to start putting out the Christmas stuff before it was even Halloween, a scourge which has only worsened over time since this week in 2003. 30 years ago this week, the first ever crew of 8 humans emerged after spending 2 years inside this massive facility, a closed ecological system where they grew crops and raised animals as part of an experiment in self-sustainability. This week's News to You pop quiz: do you remember the name of this place in Arizona? The original purpose of which was to demonstrate the viability of colonizing space someday. Closer to home, in that same week, Dave Monday was added again. We say again because the Canadian parachutist became the first person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel twice and lived to tell about it.
This the last one, Dave? That's it. Yep.
That's it. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Dave.
Yep, that's the last one.
His craft, from which he emerged bruised and woozy, was actually an altered diving bell he had purchased from the Canadian Coast Guard before making his unprecedented trip over the brink this week in 1993. 40 years ago this week, whilst sweating out a verdict, one could still enjoy a leisurely smoke in the corridors of courthouses downtown, while across Niagara Square it was also common to see smoke wafting from ashtrays on the dais of the Common Council. These were the days of Billy Martin, and when late-night drives were often accompanied by John Otto's voice on the radio.
Remember that the media who are contributing to this kind of disinformation. We never said that Congress.
This week in 1983, back in the days when it was all news to you.
Thank you, Dave. And here's the answer to this week's News to You pop quiz. The name of this closed ecological system built in Arizona was Biosphere 2. This week in 1993 was when the first crew emerged after spending 2 years inside of it. Its original purpose was to help establish if humans could colonize space. It was called Biosphere 2 because the people who built it considered Earth to be the first biosphere.